Welcome to the intro
of episode 11 of the podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Phil.
And today was our sort of post-marathon wrap-up.
Yeah. So, we talked about our 24-hour gaming marathon that happened last weekend.
Yep.
And we talk about, obviously, tips for making a successful 24-hour game marathon and what we thought about all the games that we played.
Yep.
And then we move into games we're currently playing. Chris does a mini Destiny's Corner.
Yep. The shortest one yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I talk about what I'm playing. And then from there we do very brief news. Did we even
we just touched on a couple news items here and there where we thought it was appropriate, where we thought of the idea, but there was no news segment this time.
Yeah.
It was just sprinkled throughout.
And I think that's it.
Yeah, that's it for the most part. I will say, though, I was a little upset that you couldn't add to Destiny Corner this week. I was hoping by now you would have played a little bit, or at least watched one of us play.
Yeah, but I really put my foot down on that
one. You did,
I
know.
It was just bad timing, I will say.
Okay.
Because we were going to do it right after Alien Isolation, if I remember correctly. Because that was when Jake was like, "Yeah, I'd like to watch Destiny," and I was already falling asleep.
So we played Peggle instead again, which is fine.
Yeah, that woke me up.
But I will say, Jake, if you are listening, anytime you want to play Destiny, feel free to come over. I spent a little time. I set up the characters and stuff, so you would have every subclass to choose from, because you have to unlock them at a certain point. So I played a little extra, just a new character, just so you guys would have the option.
And then we didn't take advantage
of any character class and any subclass.
And then we played 6 hours of basketball.
Yep. So
6 hours, well worth it.
Yep.
Yeah. Enjoy this episode.
Yep.
Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop. Put a remix on that.
Yeah.
Add it to Fantasia. Switcheroo. I think that'll be a good marker for you to remember. You son of a bitch.
Is there any news or anything that you've seen?
Destiny's coming out with its
expansion pack, yeah.
I hear PlayStation's getting all the benefits.
It has one extra strike mission, which is not that much, but it's the DLC's $20. So it's already overpriced, and then to take away one thing on the Xbox is a little annoying.
Yeah.
And it's definitely those levels that were cut out of the game from a year and a half ago.
The ones that people just found.
Yeah.
Well, we knew that was coming.
Yeah, but it's just
it's
shitty.
I know this will be bad news for our Twitter game.
Yeah.
But after the honeymoon, assuming I get a boatload of money, which I will.
It's like a bar mitzvah. You're gonna get a lot of cash.
A lot of cash.
Yeah.
It was just gonna actually be a big jar that people just stuff dollar bills in.
Yeah.
But I think I'm gonna get a computer, a big tower computer, but I'm gonna hook it up to the TV, and that'll kind of be my Steam box.
Yeah.
As opposed to waiting and getting a Steam box, and that way I can double down and have a computer and an actual gaming rig.
Yeah. Should be fun. Did you see that the Xbox One's down to $350?
Saw that.
And if you trade in one of the old generation consoles, you get another $100 off. So $250 for an Xbox One's not a bad deal.
No, that's gonna hurt. Obviously, Nintendo and Sony if they don't double up, because really you figure a lot of people were probably waiting for the holiday season anyway.
Right.
Because that's now all of a sudden you're getting your big game releases. So if all of a sudden you're going to be hey, PlayStation and Xbox have the same games, plus or minus one.
Right.
And this one's $250 and this one's $400.
Yeah.
It's
and it goes to the bundles too. So if you wanted to get the white Xbox One with the Sunset Overdrive game and stuff, that counts for that. And I think Call of Duty obviously too.
Oh, thank God.
Whatever bundles they have. If you got one now though, I'm assuming you get one with Kinect. Correct?
Yeah. Well,
right.
I don't know. I mean, because I think the main reason right now that I'd get Kinect would be I guess Fantasia and a face scan in NBA 2K15.
Yeah. And Kayla would want to play Dance Central.
Yeah. I imagine.
And there's Kinect Sports. It's not
Yeah, it would. We'd probably get the Connect just to have the Connect.
Yeah.
In case something through the pipeline comes down, then
Right.
it's not another $100 tacked on later.
Yeah, or 150.
Yeah,
I mean, they'll probably change it, but right now it's 150 standalone.
Okay.
Welcome to episode 11.
Yeah,
I'm Chris.
I'm the other guy.
Yep. It goes by Phil sometimes.
Sometimes.
Well, now that you're married, you have to change your name, right? You have to change your first name as the man that got married.
Yeah, no, I think I have to change my first name to Caitlin, and she has
Yeah.
to change her last name to Chester. So I think
Right.
we'll both be Caitlin Chester.
Yeah.
I think
It all just works
well,
out.
because you want to say Mr. and Mrs., and you just want that name to be the same. You
Yeah.
don't want to say Mr. Philip Chesters and Miss Caitlin Chester. No, you want to be Mr. and Mrs. Caitlin Chesters.
Yeah, you have to combine everything now, both,
Yeah.
financially and,
Oh, yeah.
if you guys get arrested for something, it's just like one crime.
Yeah, but the good news is we get to split the years between the two of us.
Yeah.
So really, if it's, life in prison, it's only half a life in prison for each of us.
So you guys are already like planning what you guys want to do, who you want to murder, what you want to steal.
Murder is a strong word. I would say it's more of a genocide.
Okay. That's not as bad as
Yeah.
murder.
Murder.
All right, so we did the 24-hour game marathon for Extra Life.
did.
How do you feel it went?
Yes.
Yes, it did go.
Yes, it did go.
Yes, we did it.
Well, I think first we should apologize. This is a late podcast. Normally they release a Monday.
Correct.
But because we were both wrecked,
Yeah.
we did not feel like recording one the day of
Right.
the
So,
podcast.
full disclosure, the plan was to, after the 24-hour marathon, record even just a mini episode of how it went and throw it up that Monday. But instead, we put 2 episodes up the week before.
Yep.
And we basically had a 24-hour-long podcast on Saturday. So we thought, that's probably enough content for
Yeah.
1 week. We could hold over the couple listeners.
Yeah, plus it was, 3 people in the building were sick.
Yeah.
Probably wanted to get home and to bed. I was just, after staying up from essentially 7 on Friday, I was just like, I need to get
outta
home.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
no,
need to
it's-
get home before I kill anybody.
No, it's understandable. But we do want to thank everybody that came out that watched the live stream. A couple people donated.
Yep.
We want to thank everybody for that.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of fun doing it, I think, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I had fun, then I'm still going to do it next year. Like, this is still, like, the year before. It's just like, yeah, I want to do this again. I just need downtime.
Yeah, you should probably take the day off of work.
Yeah,
And then also not be planning a wedding the next week.
Ooh, see, I think that adds to the benefit.
Oh, really?
Of then sitting there and going, like,
don't
what
have
am I doing with my life right
Exactly,
now? I
yeah.
have a wedding I need
Yeah.
to do.
I'm playing video games for 24 hours.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we played a bunch of games. Not as many games as I thought we would, though. I had that big list of games. Some of those games I thought we would never play. A couple of them I thought we definitely would play, and we never did. And I'm kind of glad we ended up not doing a schedule, just because it would have been thrown out the window anyways.
Oh, yeah. I think the biggest disappointment to me was not getting to play Nut Jitsu.
Yeah, I know. You kept talking about it. You could always play it, though. You could always just come over and play,
That's
24-hour marathon of just Nut Jitsu.
I think maybe next year we got something on our plates. 24-hour Nut Jitsu.
Yeah, we definitely would have gotten more viewers, I think, if we just played that.
Yeah, well, makes
So
sense.
what game do you think we played the most?
Not looking at your time lapse,
Yeah.
I would have to say it would be between Fibbage or NBA, and I would say we probably played Fibbage the longest.
Not even close.
Wow.
We played NBA for over 6 hours.
Yes. I'm not disappointed in that time at all.
I know,
because
but
I love
I'm a little bit surprised that's how the numbers came out.
Well,
We played it 7 different times, 6 hours total.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
To be fair, we started it and played like 2 games, if I remember correctly.
Right.
We started it, played 2 games.
3 games, I think, the first time. But
Yeah, and then we did, like, when we went back to it, we spent a long time just doing, like,
The
face
face scan.
recognitions and then making our own characters. We
Yeah.
weren't even playing.
Right.
Then we played, like, 3 or 4 games in the season with them, and then we wanted to show everybody that.
Right.
So, I mean, it makes sense. I also had probably the most fun playing NBA.
Okay, that was going to be the next question. I mean, we'll go down the list of how long we played each game. Not all of them, but, like, what do you think then was the second? It would be Fibbage then?
Fibbage has
Yeah,
gotta be
Fibbage
the
we played
second.
for almost 4 hours. I think that was a hit, though.
Yeah.
So everybody had fun playing it. There were some technical issues.
Yeah. But that's to be expected when you have 10 people essentially trying to connect to
Right.
one thing, and everyone's got different cell signal and service and all that stuff.
But I think it worked out well that we were actually able to play a couple games with the audience as well.
Yeah.
So that was cool. That was, I mean, back to the first podcast, that was something I was looking forward to. And so was it a little bit more fun than you thought it was going to be?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was not going to be fun.
Right.
It was mainly just like having only heard you describe it and not actually
well.
witnessed it. I'm just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
Then what game do you think we played the most after that?
My guess would be Alien Isolation.
I would have guessed Peggle.
Oh, yeah, we went to Peggle a lot.
Yeah. But no, the answer is Alien Isolation.
Boom. Then I said, yeah, Alien Isolation, then Peggle, and then every game was like a one-off.
Then everything else was around, and I mean, we played Chariot for 2 hours. I didn't realize we played it that long. I would have said like an hour.
Well, that was like the 4 hour. That was like the 4 a.m. shift.
Yeah,
it was like the 4 to 6 a.m. shift.
And we were waiting for Diablo 3 to download, so we were just like sitting there. But I honestly didn't think we played that long.
No.
But yeah, we played Alien Isolation for like 3 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel like that long to me because I enjoyed doing that.
Yeah.
I do want to apologize to anybody watching the live stream. I know that's when we had the most viewers, but I kind of made a mistake. We're trying to set the atmosphere for Jake to play.
Yeah.
So we turned off the lights, like we closed the shutters in the room, which made it dark. And when I looked at the live stream when we started it, it was bright enough to see us. But
Yeah.
the problem is the game was bright then, and then later on it was dark, and you couldn't see us at all.
Yes.
Another problem is the Kinect had two features for that game. One was head tracking, the other one was noise detection. So we turned on the noise detection to make it a little bit more fun for Jake to play.
Yeah.
So we had to be quiet. So we were whispering the whole time.
Which you couldn't probably hear
Which you
us at
couldn't
all.
hear. When I went back and looked at the live stream. You couldn't hear us. We didn't talk the whole time, essentially.
For 3 hours.
For 3 hours for them.
Nice.
So that's why we lost a lot of viewers. They came in and then left because basically the screen was pitch black and we weren't talking.
Yeah.
So
And with me and you both being exhausted, neither of us were monitoring the actual Twitch stream of
Yeah.
people that may or may not have been talking to us.
Right.
So there was no interaction. It was a blackout for 3 hours besides
Right.
Jake playing a game.
also, that was not the best time to turn off all the lights
No,
and
no.
like lay down on the couch.
Yeah, I had to keep grabbing candy just to be like, all right, I'm going to get up now.
Yeah, but what were your impressions of that game? What did you think?
I liked
you
it.
only got to play it a little bit, but
No, I mean, I liked it. I mean, to me, it's definitely a game that fits more my profile of what I'd play. I mean, it's stealthy. It's got, your scavenger aspects, like it's, your regular survival game. There's also your horror aspects. I mean, like I'm on board.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously I didn't play it all the way through. I don't know how crazy.
well,
it
I
gets.
still haven't played it all the way through.
Yeah.
So
But like from what I saw, it's just take your time. Like I like games that challenge your brain and like your reactions in terms of just like, all right, you're not supposed to sprint through this level.
Yeah.
Like
don't spread it all.
yeah.
Ever.
Like that was the thing is like obviously when it was my turn and it was really just like winding down, I'm just trying to run past like 15 guys
And it
it's like,
doesn't
yeah,
work.
Like you can't.
Yeah.
That's not how you're supposed to play the game.
Yeah.
But somehow I was surviving for a while, which I probably shouldn't have.
Yeah, well, we didn't get like into the like real meat of this stuff, anyways. We were still kind of in the semi-tutorial, and
Yeah.
we were in the I think it was like the all Android level is basically what we were playing, but it was still fun.
Yeah.
And you got to see a couple things. Like there's a way I can sort of describe it, which only makes sense I think if you've seen it been played. Is it's kind of like BioShock meets Dead Space.
Yeah.
Which sounds like amazing, and it's not. I don't think it's the best way to describe it if you haven't seen the game, but I think seeing the game you sort of understand that. It's like, okay, you're a space engineer, you're like going through this, trying to track down a loved one, and then shit goes crazy on the space station. You're always like looking at vents, you're trying to be quiet.
Yeah.
The atmosphere is a huge thing. There's like save points like as terminals on the wall. There's all that sort of stuff is like Dead Space, and then like BioShock, I think it's the way that the whole city is kind of like
Atmosphere.
falling apart.
I mean,
yeah,
that's how
all the like there's like audio logs all over the place that to put together the story.
Yeah.
Even the way that people sort of stand is kind of like a splicer. They kind of stand where they're all kind of hunched over, and then you can hear them talking to each other before you actually see them, which is another thing that happens in BioShock, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the lighting, the atmosphere, like that game's great. The whole like 70s sci-fi design is really cool.
No, yeah, it looked super nice. And I will be picking it up eventually. I mean, it's about 10 years before it goes down to $20.
Yeah.
But I'll still have my 360 by then.
And I'm glad we played it too, because then it got me into going back to play it a little bit more. I played a couple levels since then, and I feel like that does a really good job of mixing everything up. Like it's a really long game,
Yeah.
and it feels like every mission or so they do sort of change what you have to do. They either change the rules based on what you have to do, or the enemies you have to face, or just the level design. But I don't know. I'm waiting for it to get bad, and so far I don't think it has.
I would say if you're more than halfway through, which you probably are,
I'm like 3/4 of the way through.
and if it hasn't really peaked its badness, then I think you're probably safe. I mean,
Yeah.
I imagine that.
Yeah,
I guess my original complaint with the game before having played it is that for us trying to do a back-to-back run, like if you're trying to play it once and then play it on hard or something like that,
Yeah.
that is when you'd really, I guess, notice the flaws and how tedious it is. But like
Yeah.
you played some and then went to Destiny and then ignored it for a little bit and then went back and kind of like as long as you space it,
Right.
I think you'll still enjoy it because really level 1, or not level 1 because that's tutorial, but
Yeah.
like, you know, sneak around level, avoid all 3 things is technically on a base level the same as, you know, the second to last level, which is probably sneak around, avoid all things.
Yeah.
So it's like those are the same, but if you break up that monotony by playing a different game and just not
Right.
trying to plow through it in one sitting, then I think you'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing too. I was saying that it does sort of switch things up, where it's like you don't feel like you're just sneaking around doing. I mean, you kind of are, but like for a couple missions there, I didn't have to sneak around. I was in an area that I didn't need to worry about certain things, so
Yeah.
I didn't need to sneak around, and I could finally use some of my gadgets and mess around with that, and like kill the androids rather than just avoid them. So yeah. Looking forward. I think the problem is going to be like it's got a stupid ending, which kind of ruins things sometimes for some people. But like the experience of actually playing so far has been
Yeah.
great, so I don't really care.
Endings aside, I mean, like, there's no ending that ever pleases everybody.
No, especially games that are like really long and have a big build up and it's
Yeah.
suspenseful. It's like
And especially this is, you know, the Alien franchise, which is so beloved.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just like it's a throwaway game that no one's ever heard of, and then
Yeah.
the ending is, you know, whatever. It's just like they expect so much. They want either, you know, you to hug the alien and find your mom inside its mouth or
Right.
something. Like, I don't know, but
that sounds fun.
yeah, that's the last image you see.
Yeah.
Sigourney Weaver biting you.
Yeah, she was the alien all along.
Yep. Twist.
So is there any other games that we played that you want to talk about?
I mean, sure. I will say
Because
that
we're 10 minutes in and I'm out of material.
Oh, I got plenty of
Okay.
material. I will say Diablo. I like those types of games. I think it just doesn't lend itself to the time slot that we started it and for a 24-hour marathon.
Yeah.
Because we were both just at the point where there's no one at the house. Like, it's, whatever, 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning. We've already, like, stayed up all night. We're, like, our sugar rush from Candy Soda Central is crashing.
Yeah, we hadn't actually had food for a while.
And that game is a slow build.
Yeah.
Like, kill this one rat and then run back to the town to claim your reward and go to this mausoleum and kill this one. And just, like, I'm fine with those kind of games, but, like, I just feel like it was the wrong...
That was definitely
for the
the low
marathon.
point for me of the
Yeah.
marathon. And it's not all the game's fault. Like you said, it was the time slot. It was where we were. It was like, that's kind of when I hit a wall.
Yeah.
And the game was a little bit just boring.
Yeah,
Just
well,
for what
it's-
we were doing.
Yeah, because
No.
that's it's like, here's, you know, learning. It's essentially the tutorial because there is no tutorial. Here's
Yeah.
learning how to play the game. Like, and whether or not, you know, that's your type of jam where it's just like, essentially it's an endless dungeon crawler because that's all Diablo
Yeah,
is.
it just felt like I said, Marvel Ultimate Alliance or whatever it was called.
Yeah. Run, press A.
It was just,
A,
yeah,
A,
it's
A, A,
you're
A,
just,
collect some gold, run back to town.
yeah. Which
Yeah.
is fine if you're going to play that as like a long 120-hour game.
Yeah, which is how it's
But-
meant to be played. Obviously
right.
trying to cram in, you know, an hour, 2 hours, you know, after we've already played games for 10 hours is just like, okay, this isn't
Yeah.
capturing my attention. Plants vs. Zombies, Garden Warfare was... Obviously, we only did the co-op.
Yeah, we just
essentially.
did like the same one level of co-op.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, like, that was entertaining.
Yeah.
I probably would have been fine if we went back to that. Because we just kind of played it while we were essentially setting everything up.
Yeah.
Like, that was our setup game.
Yeah.
It's more fun than I guess I expected it to be.
Yeah. That was the thing too. Playing that game, like I had sort of seen a lot about it, and I didn't really. I was like, okay, that looks fine. But then playing it is actually fun.
Yeah.
And there are different game modes that we didn't play, and there's Playing online is actually not bad either. Playing against
Oh
actual
no,
other people,
yeah. I mean, because
so.
it doesn't seem like it's like one of those like, I guess, expert shooters. Like
Right.
you're not gonna have a guy who's gonna like jump from a building and headshot you with a pea shooter because it's just like
That's not how the game
it's
works.
not how the
yeah.
game works. So, granted, I'd probably get my ass handed to me in spades. It's more of like a, I can still feel like I'm contributing by at least shooting a guy with a Gatling gun for a little bit.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, it's a fun game.
Other than that, I mean, like Peggle, I will say Peggle got me
Back into Peggle, I noticed
addicted a little into Peggle. Like
Yeah.
I like that because we finished Sunday and then I woke up and did all my Sunday shit and then
Yeah.
I like found myself like Caitlin was sitting on the couch and you want to try Peggle? You want to play some Peggle? And we ended up just starting that up and
You played just that campaign or whatever it is?
yeah, we played the campaign.
Because that's how there is, I think, for Peggle 1, right?
There's campaign and there's quick play and then there's
Yeah.
like beat the masters kind of situation.
The
But,
masters for Peggle 1 are better than Peggle 2 for sure.
yeah. So we just played that for a little bit, and then I went back and did some quick play levels, like on breaks from work.
Yeah.
Just like, I'm gonna play a little bit more. But that was good. And I guess the last one is like basketball. I obviously love basketball, and
Yeah.
that game looked super great and super fun. And I was like, I got to get NBA 2K15. And then I read up. Like, I knew, first of all, I know, like, no one can call me an idiot. I know that the Xbox One version is going to be way different than the
Yeah.
Xbox 360. Like, there's no comparison.
But you don't really have that option right now, so.
But, like, what I didn't know, and I'm glad I looked it up, is essentially the Xbox 360 version is just a new sticker
On
from the
old...
previous versions. Like,
Yeah.
every review is just like, they didn't even update the rosters. Like, they
Really?
added, like, 3 animations just so they could call it a new game.
Yeah.
And they added, like, a new menu screen, and that's it. They're just like, if you have any of the past, like, 10,
You know
don't
what this
even
game
bother.
is, yeah.
So that kind of saved me, because I was just like, I knew it wasn't going to be, obviously, next-gen experience, but I
Yeah.
assumed they'd still keep some of the things, the core stuff, like,
yeah.
the gameplay's not even the same. Like the Xbox One and PS4 version, like the AI's improved. Where like if you're not actually playing smart defense, it's just going to score on you every time, like it did on us the
Yep.
first couple games. And this one, it's just like no, it's the same AI from like 2K13.
Yeah.
Which I understand as a business point. Like NBA Live, which is their only competitor, already said that they're not developing anything from the previous gens. So they could have put out a piece of shit.
And it would
And been like,
well.
this is your only basketball game
Yeah,
if
it's
you
the
don't have a
Madden
new
game.
console.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're like, you take it or leave it. Like, we don't give a shit about you guys. We're only trying to appease the new owners of new systems because they actually have competition.
Yeah.
So it's like, I really wanted to go out and get it and start my life as Edwin Preston, center.
Wasn't it Edwin Jackson, or was that...
I think I was, I don't know, Preston Edwin. There's Preston in somewhere.
Yeah.
But I wanted to start my life as a center from the ground up, and now knowing that, like, it's essentially just 2K12, I'm just like, I'll just skip.
Yeah.
I'll skip on it.
I'll send you that save data so we can have those two characters forever when you actually do start playing it.
Yeah. when I get my Xbox One in 9 years, you'll
Yeah.
be like, hey, I know NBA 2K40 have come out, but here's 2K15.
I know NBA doesn't exist anymore in the real world because the
Yeah.
apocalypse has happened,
But here's the save data for
Yeah.
from our 24-hour marathon.
I am a little upset that we didn't get the face scan to work. I
Yep.
believe it was probably a little bit our fault. I think if we would have shut off the stream and like restarted the game, it probably would have worked.
Yeah, because it took us a while to even figure out that, like, oh, wait, the Twitch camera is probably on us and not on the face scan.
Yeah.
And then when we did figure that out, we just shut off the Twitch camera for a second. And then
Yeah, we
tried it.
didn't
It
even quit the
work.
app.
Yeah.
So
No, we probably could have gotten it to work, but also, like, how horrendous it probably would have been anyway.
But it would have been funny to have like a skeleton face.
Yeah.
It would have been just as ugly as the guys we created.
That's true. Probably actually... No, they probably would have been better looking.
Yeah.
We made them pretty hideous.
One other note, too, is that adding up all the times, we're missing about 2 hours. We only got about 22 hours of Twitch stream stuff. So we got 2 hours unaccounted for. I'm assuming we just played basketball for those 2 hours and forgot to switch over the stream. I know it didn't get the NHL 15 demo.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably looking at, like, just time-lapse of, like, being in the menu, switching profiles,
Yeah.
changing games. There were a couple times when the stream dropped out and we didn't even notice.
We didn't realize, yeah.
Like you said, the NHL 2K15 one.
Because we forgot to quit. That was early on. We forgot to quit the previous broadcast before we started a new one. We didn't know we had to do that before.
So, yeah, I mean, like, 2 hours. I know we were there for 24 hours.
Yeah, we were absolutely there playing games for 24 hours. I didn't stream everything.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, all's well.
Yeah. No, that was just another note of when I added everything up. So, what did you think to a Fantasia, seeing Fantasia in action? I know you didn't get to play it, but Caitlin did.
I mean, it looks fun. It looks interesting. Definitely, again, one of those games where, like, I kind of dismissed it right away just from everything I heard about it, and it looks more interesting than what I gave it credit for.
Yeah. Also, just it's playing is more fun than watching, even.
Oh,
so.
yeah. I imagine. I mean, like, she loved it, and it'll probably be a game that we eventually get.
Yeah.
Just so she can finally play some Lady Gaga.
That's her favorite.
Yeah.
The Lady Gaga.
The Lady Gaga. But yeah, I mean it definitely swayed me in the positive direction.
Yeah.
As opposed to like maybe I'll get this if I see it in the bargain bin to like, all right. I could get this.
Yeah.
So.
And you're just going to exclusively play Queen songs, right? Anytime that's DLC, you're just going to get that because she loves that.
Here's a weird thing. Like, I'm a fan of Queen.
Yeah, me too. It's great. Queen is great.
So, it'll be tough. Chances are she'll play more than me.
Yeah, I know. I just meant, like, anytime you see the DLC, you got to download it because then she'll be obligated to play it.
Yeah, I'll be like, oh, man, you got to play play a 5-track Queen list.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should I take the helm?
Yeah, if you got more to say, please.
Sure.
Are we switching topics? Or
we can stay on this topic.
Okay.
I will say, Chris, I believe now that we've done 2 of these, we're probably as close to experts as you can get.
Yeah.
In the world of 24-hour
For
streaming.
sure. I mean, we've totally locked down the social networking aspect of it, of getting viewers there and completing our goal of the money donations, right?
Yeah. I mean, between 2 years, we've raised $600.
Exactly. All of the $600 was last year.
Yeah. Well, no, like 500 was last year and 100 was this year.
Okay. I think we got to 600 last year.
Did we?
Yeah.
Jeez, I don't even remember.
Yeah.
But for all of our viewers, all of them, and listeners, because this is a podcast and they're not really watching it.
Yeah.
I figure we should give them some tips. Like maybe let's say 5 tips for a successful 24-hour gaming marathon if they were to participate next year for Extra Life.
Yeah.
And I know I just put you on the spot, so I'll give you some time to think, and we could do maybe a trade-off, 1-1.
Yeah.
I would say, and I'll go order of importance. That'll be mine.
Okay.
You can pick whatever you want. I would say the number one most important thing, if you're planning on doing a stream, is finding friends to do it with you.
Yeah.
Because as much as I'm just like, I love video games, I don't think that there's a way in the world that I could survive 24 hours of just me playing video games. Whatever game you stick in front of me, if you're just like, Phil, you get to play your 24 favorite games, an hour apiece. It's constant. It's auto-switching for you. I don't think I could do it. So I think my advice is maybe you can't do it on the day, maybe because of things, but if you plan on doing this, find a day that works for the most amount of your friends as possible. And even if they only come by for snippets at a time, 4 hours, 3 hours,
just to break up that time and give you like a 30-second break even, just to change it up, just so you're not sitting there alone by yourself.
Yeah, I would say that is, to me, that is the most important aspect of a successful, at least whether or not raising money successful, but you making it through successful 24-hour gaming marathon.
Yeah.
Do you have one?
Sure. I mean, there's the obvious of, any sort of Four Loko or Mountain Dew surge situation. I would say maybe the second most important thing then is to pick games that are fun to play. Maybe they're not the most story intensive, or maybe you're not going to get anything done as far as, completing a game or getting achievements or anything like that. But just find games that are fun and easy to play, because that passes the time a lot faster than anything else. Because, like, we played Fibbage for 4 hours. We probably could have played it for another 4, and that would have been fine. Like, we played Peggle for 3 hours. Once again, you could have played Peggle forever. That does seem to go a little bit slower because the games are so small. So it does sort of feel, it adds up a little faster. But just games that you can play a long time. Like, we played NBA for 6 hours.
Yeah.
And that was fine. Like, for us, it was fine.
Yeah. For people watching, we probably had the least amount of viewers for NBA.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Yeah. Because, I mean, like, who wants to just watch two people who suck at NBA play NBA?
Yep, with their monsters.
With their created characters that are all, like, overpowered.
Yeah, but I think, or even a game that's slower paced, but still fun to play, like Alien Isolation. We probably could have played that for 6 hours if we wanted to.
Oh, yeah, we could have played more.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if during, like, the time slot, if we would have pushed that to more of, like, you know, either, like, when we first started or something like that, we could have traded off the controller and, like, everyone been into it. And probably gotten through, you know, a good chunk of the levels. Yeah. I think that was like, it was just like you said, lights off. And at the time we were playing it, it's just like, we needed to break that up in order to, like, wake us back up. Like, if we would have woke up and then went back to the game, probably would have been fine.
Yeah.
But it was just like, lights off, one person playing, me and you trying not to fall asleep.
Yeah, it was like siesta time. We had just eaten too, so we just kind of went into a food coma. And like, Jake was the only one playing, and we weren't allowed to talk because he was afraid that we were gonna. He thought we were gonna alert the alien, which I think we did a couple times. We alerted the drones going back and watching it. It was fun. Just watching the stream of us playing Fibbage was fun. Like, I had just had it on in the background while I was playing other games, just because I was uploading it and stuff. So
Okay, so yours is games. Big games. Which is smart. I'm going to kind of piggyback on that. I'm going to say my third, but I'm going to also include it as kind of a separate tip. It'd be to create a theme for the day. Which is one thing I think both the very first one we did and obviously the second one that we probably could have done better with just more planning if it wasn't, you know, I'm also planning a wedding kind of situation, is try and pick a theme that could at least has I guess maybe a progression through it. Like the ones that I always, like the 24-hour marathons that I always tend to watch are ones where they just have like a real defined, like, I'm going to play 24 games, 1 hour a piece, all the way through, like, the, you know, one from each year, or like one favorite game for each decade, or whatever they're going to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's, you know, like, if you can do that, even if you're a big sports fan and you're going to do, like, I'm going to do 24 years of Madden, you know, like, where you just have something, and granted that would be boring as hell.
And it would be basically the same thing every year. So,
yeah, but, like, if you can find something that you're interested in and you can stretch it and you can have a theme, because I think and I'm just referring to, like, both of ours now that we had, is just we had a lot of downtime when we were just trying to figure out games.
Right, which is what originally I said we were going to schedule games and things like that, but just because of the way that we had people showing up, it's probably better that we didn't. And also, I mean, it all comes down to the collection of games that you have.
Yeah.
If you're working off the 360 or the PS3, you have a lot more games, and you can do sort of a theme. But because, I mean, we had like 26, 27 games to choose from, a lot of which were arcade games, it was kind of hard to...
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, it's definitely, again, it's one of those things where it's not... Obviously, like, doing it on a new system was beneficial because we didn't need a computer to stream it. Like, you could stream it right from the computer and obviously, or from the Xbox. And you have all these new graphical games and interesting games that people might want to watch, as opposed to us playing Perfect Dark Zero, you know, which is 10 years old. But, like, I think it's just one of those things where just, if we could do it, like, I was already thinking, like, next year, just doing, like, you know, my top 24 multiplayer games through the ages, and just be like, you know, start with whatever Super Mario 3 and then end on NBA 2K15 or something like that, and then just do like
2K16
and do hour increments of like those, and then, you know, at least it's just like, I love this game when I was a kid. Granted, that's an all fill show because it's my favorite 24 games, but
it's still important, like I said, to play games that you have fun playing.
But that's fine. Theme. All right.
I mean, I don't know. An important thing to think about is probably also your internet connection, your upload speed. Because even if you have the fastest download speed, it's only your upload really matters for your stream itself. So if you ever stream a game before, you know how slow it actually is. Like, it's very hard to upload the highest resolution. A lot of people do it, but those are like professional streamers and Twitchers. So just make sure you check your internet connection before you do it and see what your upload speed is. The nice thing about the Xbox version of Twitch is it does that check for you. It checks your internet and tells you the recommended resolution to upload so there's not lag.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah, I mean, definitely that's something that I learned just from doing the first one. Is you watch people on Twitch and you don't think that there's any work behind it. Right. You're just watching a guy play a game.
And it's like 1080 fast. And it's like they're crystal clear. So
yeah, like this is easy. And then when we tried to stream it 2 years ago and just like actually turning on the stream and just realizing it's a clunky mess.
Yeah.
And people can't tell anything that's happening and there's a 4-hour delay.
Right.
And you're just like, okay, yeah, can't work 2 cameras at the same time for sure.
Yeah.
And can't do it during like prime hours of the apartment having internet. But yeah.
I'll add an addendum to that, which is kind of adding on to the stuff we said before. But also, if you're scheduling your games, know that there's going to be a huge downtime as far as viewership go at like 4 to like 8 in the morning.
Yeah.
Like nobody's really going to watch then. So maybe play the worst games then, but also you don't want to hit a wall then by playing awful games and not want to keep playing. So play the games just for you in that sort of window, and then save the better games for like, noon to midnight.
Yeah. And I guess the fifth one, which again probably relates to the other ones that we've had.
Yeah.
And it revolves around gaming, but it's really think about what games are interesting to watch. Because there are a lot of games where I'm just like, man, I super enjoy this and I could probably play this for a long period of time.
NBA.
NBA.
Yeah.
But like even just, like we've talked about this, like role-playing games, Final Fantasies and stuff like that. Like you just have to think, is your audience going to be entertained for however long you're playing the game for?
Yeah.
No matter how much you may enjoy sitting down and getting into a good story, you have to realize that you have to, I guess, imagine that your viewer is only going to be watching for maybe an hour at a time. Is this a game that you can jump into in the middle, spend an hour, and get a lot out of it? You don't want to start, Chrono Trigger, and then realize that it's a 2-hour lead-in to even get part of the story, and then it starts getting good 3 hours in, and then whatever, because you don't want just a huge, stagnant, like people are just sitting around, just be like, oh, you're talking to a bunch of NPCs, and you're buying items. This is fantastic.
Yeah.
Which just relates to, obviously, picking games that are enjoyable for you as well, but it's also like you're not just playing for yourself, especially if you're streaming it. If you're doing if you're doing this by yourself and you're just like, I want to see if I can make it 24 hours, great. No one's watching.
Yeah.
Play whatever game you want that's going to make you through. But if you plan on streaming it, or you plan on raising money, or you plan on doing the extra life stuff, just like you want to play games that can either get the audience involved in terms of like fibbage, or games that are just interesting to watch that are kind of shorter, like when we played Burnout 2 years ago. Like a lot of people enjoyed that just because it was like big crashes and each one only lasted maybe like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So you could turn and watch, and you watch 2 minutes and you watch somebody do a big crash, and then if you turned it off and turned it back on 20 minutes later, you didn't miss anything. Right. You're just like, oh, now they're on a new level and they're doing new crashes.
Right.
So I guess all the tips just relate to games, but that's kind of how it should be.
Another tip too, we don't have to number them, if just something else I thought of though. If you have at least one other person, it's good to have that person monitoring social media. Like we had an iPad to where we would look at the chat, and we also, tweeted out stuff that way, or just made sure the Twitch stream was working by actually going in, logging, and being like another viewer to see what it looks like.
Yeah.
Like I said, if you have at least one other person, then the person not playing, if you're playing a single-player game, can watch that. Or if you have an awesome person like Emily that can just devote her time to doing that while she's around.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would say, like, that is, I guess one of the things that we just dropped the ball on, is because neither of us, while we're playing games, because we tried to play a lot of two-player games, and it was mainly me and you there for the whole time, weren't focusing on the social media aspect. So, like, people probably dropped it in the chat, I'm just assuming, and would probably ask us questions or say things or make suggestions or whatever.
Yeah.
And we just wouldn't even have the chat open.
And the problem is, too, is that because we were doing it for so long, after playing a game for a long time and nobody responded to the chat, we just kind of look away from it. That's on us. That's our fault.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what happened was we'd either play for a couple hours and nobody would say anything, or we'd be staring at the chat for hours with nothing. So then we were trying to save battery on the iPad, or we just got distracted playing the game.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's obviously easier when, like, a big group of people, like you said, like that collection of just, even if you only have 2 people playing the game, but you have a third person there and you're just cycling around, then yeah, that third person can just sit there, have the laptop open, or can have the iPad on, something like that, and just focus on, like, yeah, he or she doesn't have to just be staring directly at it,
right?
But just, like, the every now and then glance and just be like, oh, Dr. Joe 707 said...
Dr. Joe.
Yeah, I can make your testicles bigger. Like, and then you respond and you go back and it's just whatever. But, like, when it was, like, me and you and it's 4 a.m. and even though we may have had 2 viewers or 3 viewers or whatever it was, and we're like, they probably stumbled upon us on accident.
Yeah.
There's no need for us to unplug the iPad, log in, drain battery life. Because we're like, we're going to use it later. When
there's thousands
it's prime
of people.
time and there's a lot of people. But when we peek out at 9 and we're all asleep, it's like, oh, no one checked it.
Yeah. And that's another thing, too. If we consistently had, like, 20 viewers or something, we probably would have always been watching.
Yeah.
But because the numbers were fluctuating, we kind of got lazy. So.
Yeah. That's on us.
Yeah, that's on us.
We'll do better next year.
Yep. If you guys come and watch us next year, we'll definitely do better.
Yeah.
I feel like we should give a shout-out, though, to some of the people that were watching.
Sure.
That talked to us on the Twitch stream. We'll just call him Chris, too.
Yeah. Chris, too, from Fibbage.
Yeah.
Yeah, he stuck with us through NBA. He did talk to us a lot during NBA when we were doing the face scan. And it was like, this is real great TV right here. Yep. It's just us making faces.
He follows us on Twitter. He listens to the podcast. He was nice enough to jump in the chat, and he also donated to the Extra Life charity, so we really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Also, basically our... I wouldn't call him super fan, but he's the guy that's been watching us play video games the longest, which is, good old Miguel Franco.
Yeah.
He found us again on the Twitch stream. He watched us play some games.
I think he just left it on. Like, we always had a constant viewer because he was just like, I'm going to go get some food. I'll just leave the Twitch stream on.
Which is great. I mean, that's fun. It's fun to see the same people again, too, even if it's just one guy.
Yeah.
And we had an anonymous donation. I'm just going to go ahead and give him credit for that.
Yeah, that's smart.
Which is the opposite of what you want if you give anonymous donations. But,
yeah. I mean, if it's somebody else, then they can correct us. Yes. They can be like, I was the anonymous donation.
But that kind of defeats the purpose of having an anonymous donation.
Well, let's make them say it.
Yeah.
But he definitely was there for Fibbage pretty much every time. The Green Luchador.
Yeah.
At least I think that's Miguel.
Yeah, we're giving him a lot of credit for things we have no idea whether or not he did.
Good work, Miguel.
Yeah.
He doesn't even probably listen to this. But then obviously, like, we had other donations before the live stream. We had 3 other donations, obviously, besides myself.
Yeah.
We had people, obviously, Jake and Eliza and Emily and Caitlin all come over and at least play games for a little bit to keep us awake and alive and give us food when we needed it.
Yeah. Hopefully they had fun. We had fun with them being there. We played a lot of Fibbage. We played a lot of Peggle.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun just watching Jake play Alien Isolation. I don't know if you noticed when the alien first came out of the vent and stuff, he was sitting up and then he like sat down and back and sloped in his chair. He was completely hiding.
Well, because it's got a camera.
And we were like whispering.
Yeah.
But
no, it was, like I said, that was enjoyable. Again, like, if I could do it again, I'd definitely say let's play that game. It'd just be like, let's play that game when we're awake.
Yeah, not make it pitch black in the room. Which, once again, it was fun. It was good experience for us playing the game. Not so great to Twitch.
Yeah. That is what I have to say about our 24-hour live stream.
All right.
But I do have other topics.
Great.
And by other topics, I mean topic.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you know this, but there's a movie that came out this year.
Didn't know they were still making movies.
Yeah, they're still making movies. Obviously, it's not all video games.
Yeah.
And it's called Video Games...
The Movie.
The Movie. And I watched it 2 nights ago? Last night?
I just put it on my Netflix queue.
I won't spoil the ending for you because it's
Right, Madden 27 comes out.
27 comes out. I liked it. I feel like video games in its whole history topic. There's a lot of stuff to cover, and obviously in a movie, you can't hit all the points that somebody might want to cover. Like obviously they don't really talk about like the console wars between Nintendo and Sega, which I feel is like that's
huge.
Yeah, but like they do like they talk about the history of how it started, and then they get to like the collapse, and then they talk about how Nintendo kind of pushed through, and then they kind of just start skipping around to points where they're just like, and here's when we get good story, and here's when we get to super good graphics, and obviously so I think it's like a full 2.5 hour movie, like it's a long movie. Okay. My complaints is I think the movie could be a half hour less. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of scenes where it's just they really licensed a song and they want to play that song to the end.
Yeah, they want to get all their money out of it.
And so it's just like highlights of like 20 video games that probably have no connection to each other at all, but they really wanted to just play this song. Like the biggest one is right at the start of the movie. They play a Queen song. Yeah. The same one from Shaun of the Dead, where they're on the Killer Queen or whatever it is, where they're beating the guy in the pool cue.
Having a good time.
Yeah, they played the whole song, and they show like 50 games.
That's annoying.
And you're just like, the movie hasn't started yet.
Yeah.
And so they do that a couple times, where they're just like, look at all these great graphics, and then it's just like, let's bust out this song, and it's just like, yeah. Also, even though I'm a big video game fan, it was too self-congratulatory as a movie.
Right.
They start talking about like story and graphics and all this stuff and how much work goes into making a game, which I am not saying that work doesn't go into it. Like I understand it's a huge, like you have to have 10 million people working on a game, and it's a huge endeavor, and it's a lot of money.
Do you think it was for the layman's trying to watch the movie that don't know a lot about video games, and it was trying to be like, hey, this is a legitimate business?
Part of me wants to say that, but at the same time, I don't feel like the layman's who don't follow video games would put on a movie called Video Games the Movie. So I feel like you're making it for fans who probably already know all this stuff, but it's just like, when we're creating a story, we do it so much better than books and movies because we can do that.
Stupid then.
But that's the thing, like it's like, look at all this shit that
we're so good at everything.
Yeah, like we should be an art form. Like yeah, we get it. It takes a lot of work, but like you guys still create some shit. Like, not every game is like, here's the prestige of prestige. Some games are going to be Aliens Colonial Machines. Like, I'm not going to put them on the same pedestal that, they put time in. So, like, I guess it's free on Netflix. It's streaming. It's interesting to watch, but just, like, you have to filter out.
Would you recommend it?
Yes, okay. I would. But just know that, like, when they're talking about how great they are at writing and how like perfect their face drawing is, just like, yeah, you're proud of your work. Now fucking take a step back.
Yeah.
There's some legit stories in there where you're just like, I didn't know how video games kind of started, and I want to know more about the crash of
Atari and
stuff like that, and like that's interesting. But then when they get to like PlayStation 2 and beyond, when they hit that year,
it's kind of like a montage then
it's just like PlayStation 2 is when we hit story, and how Tomb Raider is this great 3D game that like everyone always talks about, and it's like, who do they ask? They ask the guy who just did the new Tomb Raider.
Right.
Of course he's gonna fucking talk up Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
Ask somebody who had no affiliation with Tomb Raider,
which won't make money from saying Tomb Raider is great.
Yeah, don't be like, every fan on the street tells me Tomb Raider is the first game that they ever fell in love with. Like, first of all, Tomb Raider, great, I get it, big series, whatever. No one fucking said that, at least in my opinion.
Yeah,
like at least I guess people my age are not the people who came into Tomb Raider, but it's just like the first game that blew your mind wasn't PlayStation 2. It was probably well before that.
Yeah.
I did learn that I completely forgot like the years of systems that came out. That PlayStation 2 came out before the PlayStation came out before the Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
I always thought Nintendo 64 went and then PlayStation went because that's the order of when I got the consoles.
Same with me, yeah.
So I was just like, no, Nintendo 64, like Mario 64
Yep.
is much better 3D than Tomb Raider, and it came out first. And really,
it was the other way.
Yeah, reverse.
But it is much better 3D.
It's still much better 3D.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, but they also, spend a lot of time kind of going gonzo on each other's balls.
Yep.
Can I say that?
You can say it. I don't know if you should.
Yeah.
Well, to bring it back, I guess, to movies, there's a couple things that have happened since our movie podcast with Jake that I was thinking about maybe if we have him again, we should talk about. But I don't know when that's going to happen, so I'm just going to say some things now.
Sure.
The Hitman movie got pushed back 6 months.
Good. They should just can it.
Which is always a great sign.
Yeah.
They're saying it's to have more time to work on CG, some special effects and stuff, which, one, I don't believe.
Yeah.
And two, why does this movie have so much special effects, so much computer graphics?
It needs to, because he's going to be shooting aliens this time.
Yeah, he's
going to
be shooting a lot of aliens. But you guys had mentioned that like walking around, sneaking around is fun gameplay, but not a good movie. And I kind of disagree with that the more that I thought about it. Because like you could do it like any other heist movie. Like there's plenty of like sneaking around and doing stuff. There was like an episode of Fringe. I don't know if you watched Fringe when it was on, but where this guy could sort of see the future. So he would kind of set up Goldman machines like with the environment because he knew what was going to happen. So it was like this very intricate small things where he's setting up little traps and all these little things, and then when it comes together it's very very satisfying. So I think they probably could have done it more in the vein
They could have done Hitman better. They could have made it truer and made it more stealthy, like you said, like heist movie, because the heist movie is still, it's shot and cut like it's an action movie. There's a lot of quick, scenes of people doing things. And it's not just one man walking slowly through a crowd. I just feel that when they did the Hitman movie, they were just like, okay, what is a hitman? It's a guy with guns who's trying to kill somebody.
Yeah.
Let's just make him shoot the entire place up, and then it'll be more interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like, again, like we had that big argument where it's just like, what's staying true to the actual game, and I feel like Hitman is just one of those things where just like they took Hitman because it's a franchise, it's well known or whatever, and then they just knew what it was about. They're like, this man kills people
based on the cover art. Is basically all they do.
A bald man with a tie kills people.
Yep.
Let's give him like double machine guns and let's have him kick down doors and murder everything in its path.
Yep. Makes sense.
Yeah, not how the game works, but okay, whatever. They didn't want to do a slow build and have somebody actually figure out, like, essentially, quote-unquote, a puzzle to get to the guy and kill him, stealthily. They just wanted that man to be super evil and take a couple bullets in his brain.
Yeah. Also to movies, I guess, the Assassin's Creed movie. So Michael Fassbender's supposedly playing the lead, and it's been rumored that Robert Downey Jr. is going to play Leonardo da Vinci. So that's still a rumor. One, I don't know if that's going to happen.
I feel like they got Downey locked up in the Marvel world. Like, I don't know how much time he's really got to...
He keeps trying to say that he wants to get out of it. And he's made a couple movies, in between films.
Yeah.
Like one just came out recently, like The
Where he's
Judge.
a lawyer. Yeah.
Which also implies that it takes place during, like, Assassin's Creed 2. Which I think makes sense based on the story of Assassin's Creed 2. That's probably the one you want to go
Well, yeah,
into.
that's the one that's been most highly, I guess, reviewed and rated. And, I think 2 and 4. And 4 is probably,
Is 4's
the
Black
pirate
Flag.
ship. Yeah. But at the same time, like, it's hard to do that and not just make Pirates of the Caribbean again.
Yeah. I mean, if they keep making Assassin's Creed movies, they definitely will probably do a pirate one.
Yeah.
But right now, I don't know if that's the one you want to start everything with. I don't know. There's more in my movie talk, but...
That was just a teaser. It's a little taste.
Well, I mean, all right. I'll talk about it.
Okay.
So, also, have you seen Edge of Tomorrow?
No, that's the Tom Cruise.
That's the Tom Cruise, Emily Blunt action movie.
Yeah.
Which just talking about it like that makes me want to throw up.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where I know I'm way behind. Everybody has been saying how great it is for a long time. I didn't originally see it. I still wanted to, but I got like living in LA, I went to a lot of movie screenings. So like I go to test screenings and things like that way before the movie came out. And I got one for this movie May of last year, which was almost a full year before the movie came out.
Okay.
And it was like on the studio lot and stuff, which usually means they need to do reshoots if it's that far out from when the movie happens.
Yeah.
So a big, huge movie like this, and a year ahead of time, I was like, okay, it's probably not very good because they're going to have to do reshoots. Plus, watching the movie at that time, there's like little to no special effects.
Yeah, just be like...
So it's not going to be fun to watch anyways. So that's kind of why I was kind of hesitant before it came out. Then it came out, everybody said it was great. I just didn't get around to seeing it. But I did see it recently, and I do think it's pretty great. And the reason I want to talk about it is it's basically a video game. It's the closest thing in recent memory to an actual representation of what it feels like to play a video game. Now, this is not a licensed property. This is not a video game adaptation.
Yeah.
Technically, well, it comes from a comic book. It comes from like a Japanese manga comic. But it does obviously have heavy influences from video games. I don't know if you know the story.
I mean, I know,
but to not give anything away,
yeah.
basically Tom Cruise, it's like a military shooter version of Groundhog Day. So he keeps reliving the same day.
Can't believe they couldn't get Bill Murray to do it.
I know, right? But because he lives the same day over and over, it's the same as playing a video game because when you die, you then restart the day. That's what happens with him. Whenever he dies, he restarts the day. And that's how it is in most video games. You know, if you die, you have to start over, and your death means nothing to the people around you, but it helps you learn and you get better. So you have to keep doing things over and over until you get basically the perfect run of this day. I don't know. It was fun and it was interesting, and I thought it was a good movie on its own. And it was, like I said, the closest thing to like the essence of what it is to play a video game, even though it was not a video game adaptation. But I'm gonna count it as
I've heard other people like that's kind of how they say it. Just like this is the best non-video game movie.
Yeah.
And that it intrigues me. I mean, I wonder how small they had to make the alien so Tom Cruise looks big in it.
But... Right. Well, it's all CG. So
yeah. So they just made it knee high.
The aliens are pretty big. The aliens are actually really cool. I really like the design of the aliens. I mean, it doesn't approach the xenomorph as far as coolness. I think that's the by far the best looking character design for an alien that I've ever seen.
Yeah, because it still has like kind of humanoid qualities,
but it's not just a human with a mask, which almost 99% of all aliens are.
Yeah, it's not just like a little green guy with an oversized head and a kind of scrawny arms. It's like, yeah, this thing can crawl on all fours. It has, freaking multiple heads.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Xenomorph is... I mean, that and Mars Attacks are probably your two best aliens.
Well, everybody always puts them in the same camp. There's always that huge debate. Back to the Xenomorphs, though. I don't know if I would call it the perfect organism. Only because it goes through so many stages before it has to become an alien. So you gotta have a queen that then lays an egg, that then turns into a face hugger, that then has to impregnate someone, that then has to like gestate inside them and then come out as a little baby alien, and then it gets bigger.
Yeah.
So because it requires a host and so many steps, I feel like it can't be the perfect organism. It might be the perfect killer.
Yeah. Maybe it's only the perfect organism because of how stupid humans are.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, I guarantee that, it's not hard for a face hugger to find someone who's going to lean into it and just be like, what the hell's this? And then boom.
Yeah.
And then once you get to that stage, once you've impregnated, like there's no
yeah. But what if that's the thing? What if it was just like a face hugger? What if the face hugger was the first stage of it, not queen to egg to face hugger to whatever? Like if the face huggers were just like pooped out of the other aliens. That's another thing too. They can't procreate on their own. They can't like split and divide and create more aliens. They have to have a queen.
Yeah.
So that was a stupid discussion, but I was just throwing that out there because I just thought of that.
It's fine. What have you been playing? Anything? I mean,
Destiny and Alien Isolation.
Sure.
Those are the only two games I've played other than the marathon.
Yeah.
Still digging both those games. I mean, we sort of talked about it earlier, but I don't know how I'm going to cut it together. So, like Destiny, there's a new patch for Destiny. They've been patching it basically once a week. And the new patch gets rid of like the cheese method to killing the final boss in the raid, but it also then adds randomness to the teleportation in that sequence. So at the end, there's 6 of you, and before you could strategically place yourself to get teleported away during the boss fight to get this relic. So it used to be the back 3 people would get teleported.
Yeah.
Now they're like, oh, that was a bug, which we know it wasn't, that they want it to be random, so you don't know who's going to get teleported. And this way, it's not less fun, I think. I haven't done it, I haven't played it yet, and there's probably not going to be a huge, like, learning curve. But before, it's like you always had your job. Like, going through the raid, you knew what you were good at, you knew what you were bad at. At the beginning of each raid, you usually pair off or be like, okay, I got left side, I got right side, I got middle.
Who goes like, hey, I'm bad at shooting? Because that would be me.
Well, then you can get the relic because it's the shield and you can't shoot with it. You have to hold the shield. But really it's harder than anything else. Yeah.
And, like, jumping.
I can't jump, guys. I cannot jump. I'll tell you that right now. So it's a little bit annoying because it takes the strategic team element out of it, which is less fun.
Yeah.
And it seems like all their patches that they've come out with are fixing things that people like with the game. I mean, some of them are exploits, like the loot cave, or, pushing boss off the level. That's fine when they fix those things, but there's plenty of things they haven't fixed yet. There's plenty of glitches within the raid, like actual glitches they haven't fixed. Like sometimes when you go through the teleporters, you don't actually go through them. Sometimes you get stuck in between levels. Sometimes you get lost in time, it says. Like and when the raid's over, it usually, after you finish a mission, it does a 30-second countdown, and then it sends you to a reward screen or back to orbit. For the raid, it doesn't do that. It's broken. Usually the timer never happens, and if it does, when it hits 0, it doesn't send you to a reward screen. Like, they need to fix those things.
No.
That are super easy to fix. Also, I think it was like the first week the game came out, they said they're going to patch some of the exotic weapons because they were not up to snuff statistically with the other weapons, and you had to do like all these hard trials to get them, and then when you got them, they were worse than like some of the base weapons. So like, okay, we're gonna fix that, we're gonna patch those out. So far they haven't. All they've done is patched good guns and made them like less effective.
Yeah.
But they still haven't fixed the things they've said from day one. So
it's because all this stuff keeps coming up. They're just like, oh shit, people are finding our game too easy with this new exploit. We gotta fix that before we fix the stuff that actually
breaks
broken.
The game. Yeah. I mean, it's like I said, it's fine if they fix glitches or cheesy methods to beat bosses, even though it's sort of less fun. Like, it's fun to do some of these tricks while you're doing the raid.
The thing is, it's kind of like, there's some exploits where you're just like, okay, this clearly breaks the game. And I admit the loot cave probably breaks it, where it's just like, now you just have people who aren't even really doing anything, who are just spending all this time, gathering loot and leveling up and then being the best in the world. Like, that's something to fix, but like, finding little exploits where like, oh, I can kill a boss if I do this. Those are stuff like, just leave it in. Yeah. Like, it's not, like, because unless you know about it, like, if I played and having not known any of the exploits, like, if I was to start up and I'd get to that boss, my first instinct wouldn't be, like, let me Google search easy ways to beat this boss. Right. I would just play it as it's meant to be played. But if I found that by happenstance, then I'd feel, like, rewarded for thinking about, like, if I hit him with this and then I throw a crate at him,
and that's kind of what happened. People would have to figure out what to do and how to do it and where to position themselves and how to like bait him to a certain area. And then you would have to use special abilities and their grenades. Like, it was only like one subclass of one enemy type could do this. And so I mean, people are gonna find new ways to do things. Yeah, just like they patched this sort of easy way to beat this other boss. Now there's an even easier way because people were forced to do it a different way, so they found a different exploit.
Just, I mean, those are the things. Just like, if you didn't figure this out in testing, just leave it.
Right.
Like, sorry that people are getting enjoyment out of your game.
Right.
Don't take that away when you're going to try and sell them $20 DLCs.
But once again, too, like, adding randomness to the teleportation does not make this game more fun. Like, strategically, like, having a strategy, having everybody have their own job and position, that's what's fun about it. Yeah. Feeling like a team, feeling like a member of that team, being like, okay, I have my job, I got to do my job, I know what to do, I know where to go, I know what I'm good at, so everybody else doesn't get mad at me. But like, adding randomness to something that's very hard does not all of a sudden make it more fun to play.
Yeah. Oh, great, now I'm relied on, and I am terrible. Like, that would be awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and we talked about the DLC. So there's new DLC coming out. It's December 9th, I believe. And it's basically you just get a handful of everything else that's in the game, but newer versions get new strikes, new weapons, new gear, a new raid. All the stuff that was in the game 18 months ago that they took out so they could package it as DLC.
And I think the most expensive DLC I've ever seen at $20.
No, there's Call of Duty DLC is pretty consistently $25.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Glad I gave up on that series a long time ago.
New DLC for Alien Isolation also, which is just like Survivor mode, which is like challenge maps. It's like a couple of maps, and you have to beat it under certain criteria. I have not played that mode yet. This DLC has no achievements, therefore I will not be buying it.
Yep. Not unless they give it away free.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Oh, so Sunset Overdrive came out a little bit ago.
Yep.
Getting really good reviews. Everybody that I know that's played it says it's a lot of fun. It's a game that I definitely plan on playing at some point, but I will not be buying it for a while. Just because
you have other stuff to do?
I'm still working on these other 2 games, plus Master Chief Collection comes out soon, and I know I'm going to have to play that.
Have to. I like how you did like. Oh.
Well, like I'm gonna have to play that when it first comes out because of all the online stuff.
Yeah,
I want to be playing it while there's an online community. Like I know I can do all the campaign stuff later if I wanted to, but
yeah, no.
I want to play it while everybody's playing it. So it's like that's kind of the point of
getting an online game.
Yeah.
You don't buy Call of Duties 20 years after they come out and then be like, why is nobody playing online?
Yeah, because one, everyone's gonna be way better than you.
Yeah.
Also, they announced that for. All across the Master Chief Collection, they're going to use the level up system from Halo 2, which is basically you gain XP and level when you win, and you lose it if you lose. So
good. Then it's another game
you're not going to ever play. But also, it's each playlist has its own rank. I don't know if you ever played Halo 2 online. Probably not. No. But like if you play Big Team Battle, you could be like, oh, I'm a level 10 in Big Team Battle, but I'm level 20 in Team Slayer. So each playlist rates you separately. So that way it's like, okay.
Is there like a team coward? Because I'd probably be like, that'd be the highest one. Or like a team dies a lot.
Yeah, there's certainly medals and stuff for that.
Yeah. Congratulations, you went 0-16 again.
Well, that's especially during Halo 2. Like, I wasn't great at killing people then. I was okay, but I wasn't like into online shooters as much because one, that was like the first online shooter I'd played. Yep. But I really liked playing objective game types because it didn't matter if you were good at shooting somebody if you could figure out how to like hold the ball the longest or steal the flag.
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to think of my Halo Online experience that didn't include you. It was like capture the flag because it was just like...
Or even like Griffball. Like, that's fun.
Yeah. Griffball, come on.
Griffball's great.
We were the greatest Griffball team around.
We really were. Like,
we had plays. One of them.
We did have plays. Worked. And a lot of times it was like the 2 of us versus 4 of them and we would still beat them.
Yeah. And for somebody who was terrible at first person anything...
Yeah, but that was like first person...
Sports?
Yeah.
Give me my first person sports game.
Yeah.
How is it not a thing yet?
That's a good question.
How is there not a first person, like... They tried it in football.
Yeah.
I remember playing first person football. It was terrible.
Yep.
And maybe that's why.
You got like a helmet and like I can't.
But like you had to like look up. I remember being like first person receiver and trying to like run a route and then like look up to catch the ball. And you're just like, this is terrifying.
It would be like a good little Kinect demo, I think.
Yeah. But like you could do a first person, I don't know, baseball for sure. That'd be the easiest one because, you know, for the most part, whether you're playing defense, you're just kind of standing around and staring
at the grass,
staring straight at the
yeah.
And granted, it'd be immersive because you'd be bored until the ball came to you.
It would be like actually playing baseball.
Yeah, but I'd love to see a first-person basketball. That'd be tough.
But see, the thing is, you would have to play the same player the whole time. I don't think you could switch around players.
No, you'd have to be locked.
Yeah,
It'd have to be like.
Pass me the ball, man. God.
It'd have to be like my player mode, where it's just like you really only are allowed to control one player.
Yeah.
But then you can just make it first person,
which could be fun, I think.
Yeah.
We challenge you, gaming community, to come out with a first person sports game.
And there probably is, and I just don't know about it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But like,
nothing would make me happier than somebody responding and telling us games that already existed.
You're an idiot. It's totally NBA Jam first person edition.
Boom shakalaka, you get sick though doing all the flips and stuff.
Oh yeah, and motion sickness would be awful.
Yeah.
The games that I'm currently playing. Thanks for asking, Chris.
Yep.
Well, as we are now as of recording this, a day away from my wedding.
Booyah.
One day.
So, do they still do the part where they're like, "Does anybody object to this?" Are you guys going to say that?
I'm sure.
It's okay, I'll find another way to get it in there.
Yeah, like you could just...
I'll just object whenever, yeah.
Objection!
I object!
Yeah. No, you can still do that, it'll be fine. Okay. But, I have been playing Peggle ever since we got addicted to Peggle 2. So I went back, started that, having a ball, trying to 100%...
Is that supposed to be Was that supposed to be a pun? Or
No.
just came out?
That just came out.
Yeah.
Trying to 100% the levels, those are kind of tricky.
Yeah. I spent a lot of time playing the first Peggle on PC way before it came on the 360.
Mm-hmm.
And me and my buddies spent a lot of time trying to do all the trials and stuff. And it's not just like beat all the level, but it's like you have like 3 shots, so you got to find a way to get new balls either from getting in the bucket or or it's like, oh, you got to always hit a blue before an orange. There's some crazy things like that.
Yeah, I haven't unlocked the challenge mode, which is probably what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because you have to beat the adventure first.
Which is so hard.
I just went into quick play, and one of the achievements is 100% every level in either quick play or an adventure.
Yeah.
So I did the first world and some of the second world and 100%ed all of them. Just
gets a lot harder.
Oh, I imagine it does.
Yeah.
Real time consuming, that one.
Yep.
Because you're just like, oh, I got it down to 2, and I accidentally hit the orange one first, and now I have to start all over. That was my favorite. Just like you're just like, oh man.
You probably shouldn't start off with that. You should probably just play through the story.
No, yeah, I go back and forth. If I get stuck on a level, I just go back to the story.
Yeah.
Unlock more characters.
Yeah.
But I look forward to doing that. Spending my days getting
just playing Peggle.
Peggle Wizard. Also, my quote-unquote serious game.
It is serious.
It is serious. It's almost too serious. Yeah. Is because I'm trying to finish up the online for Grand Theft Auto 4. I figured I'd go back and clean up all the DLC and the last remaining achievement for that, which is essentially just play the game at rocket speed and beat all the story missions in under 30 hours, I think it is, or 20 hours or something like that. Which is fine. Like, everyone says, like, hey, if this is the achievement you're going for, it's super easy to get. Just reload if you lose a level, so it doesn't add on time, and make sure you save after everyone.
Skip all the cutscenes.
All that stuff. So it's like, this isn't hard to get. It's just, it's weird because, like, why? I get it. It's essentially for a second playthrough, but like Grand Theft, we've talked about before.
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto is so much about just kind of dicking around and doing all the mini stuff that they put in, than to have an achievement that's just like,
it goes against what it feels like it should be.
Yeah, to have owner just beat only the missions and beat it as fast as possible. You're just like, oh, okay. I mean, I can do it. Yeah. It's not like, then it's just, I don't go bowling with like the 600 dates you have to go on in the game.
Yeah.
But that and the DLCs, which were huge.
But they're all story-based, correct?
Yes and no. The motorcycle gang one, the Lost and the Damned, is all story-based.
Okay. The Ballad Gay Tony, though.
The Ballad Gay Tony, there's like, I haven't started it yet, but there's one for like gold starring every mission or map or level. So I can't imagine that that's story-based unless you get a gold star just for beating it.
Which would be great.
Yeah, fantastic.
More games should just give out gold stars.
So that's something like I don't really have to think about. There's no, since I'm skipping all the cutscenes and I've already played the game, it's not like I care about the story at all. And plus, it's Grand Theft Auto, so the story is just real lousy.
Yep.
Like, I know that they're, like, heralded as, you know, like, these great storytellers.
I'm also not a fan, so.
But it's just, like, even, it's always, I guess my thing with Grand Theft Auto, besides what we've already talked about, is it's always the same. Like, it's always just, like, a guy who's trying to get away from a life of crime, but the only thing he can find is a life of crime. It's like, you have to be able to do something else. I know the game's called Grand Theft Auto.
Yep.
But, like, it's always just like, I'm trying to get out.
Yep.
I'm an immigrant,
and
I don't...
super, like, stereotypical, almost racist character.
Well, and even if your character's not racist, everyone else in the game
is. That's for sure.
Like, I think I was playing it, and Caitlin was just, like, knitting or doing something else. And just, like, you pick up a guy to go to a mission. Like, they're always in your car, and they're obviously just talking nonstop.
Yeah.
Caitlin's like, is the whole game like this? Is it just, like, one... idiot? Is it always the same guy, or are you picking up different guys that are just completely racist and just yelling at each other in a car while you go kill somebody?
Yes.
I'm like, no, that's the whole game.
Yeah.
If I'm not going to kill somebody, I'm going to steal a car or, you know, hold up somebody at gunpoint.
Right. But somehow I'm the good guy in this scenario.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's supposed to be like, it's redemption and it's blah, blah, like he's trying to make a better life. Like all the people who are
not
trying to
hard.
defend it. Yeah. It's like, you're really stretching. You can still like the games. I still like Grand Theft Autos for what they are, where they're just open sandbox and you dick around and shoot people and have fun.
Yeah.
But don't don't tell me that the single player, really changed your impression of immigrants in the country kind of situation.
If it did for the negative, not for
Yeah.
the positive.
So like those I'm just trying to speed through, and I was hoping to have it done before the wedding, so when I come back and I'm actually able
You
to...
can play a game you want to play?
I can play a game I want to play,
Yeah.
but because I'm one of those people who, like, I can't leave something just 80% done, I'm still going to have to finish that up. But yeah, still waiting. Still no word of my Genesis game.
Yeah.
It got a release date for the Wii U. It's apparently getting a release date for the Xbox One soon.
So you're going to buy a Wii U is what you're saying?
No, unfortunately not.
Yeah.
I mean, I am. I think I talked about it off mic. But pending financial, I'm looking to get a real computer Dora, which I believe is Turkish for computer.
Yes, Turkish is right.
Which, believe it or not, is, I believe, Preston Edwin's nationality in NBA 2K15.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever actually had a computer that was like built for gaming. It's always just been like functional, and then let's see what game it can run as well. But I think now I'm going to try and combine the two. Caitlin has the laptop.
She's going to take over that new gaming PC so she can play like her Sims and stuff.
No, that's fine. I mean, that's the thing is I'm like, I guess I wanted a Steam box when I heard that when they were initially announced a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've always wanted to kind of get into the computer game market because there's so many the computer game because there's so many games that like only release on there, or it's always on the system that I don't have. Like this only released on PlayStation when I only had an Xbox, or vice versa. And I guess it's just the bridge between, like, I'll always still be a console gamer. Like, I'll still always have one console, and the Twitter game still stands. Like, if we still hit 200 followers, I'll still go and get a One or a PS4 or a Wii U.
Yeah.
And I think my rule is going to be that if a game comes out on a console, then I'll get the console version as opposed to the PC version. I think it's kind of just going to be to, like, the games that I can't get.
Yeah.
Like I guess the more independent, the more like genres that like adventure games don't really come out for consoles.
Yeah.
And like you said, like The Sims is like Caitlin's favorite series, so it's like I don't want her to have to buy a brand new Mac.
Right, and the console versions of those games are always awful.
Yeah, they're so watered down.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like I'm glad that they bring them to the systems because obviously people have those, but like it's a night and day.
Yeah.
Just I remember what got me, because I have Sims 3 for the 360. What got me excited about that is watching Caitlin play Sims on her computer, and it was so different because it'd just be like your character could just randomly die. Like that was The Sims. It was just like she told me she was playing a character forever, and a meteorite hit them and killed them, and that's it. That's the end of their story.
Yep.
And I'm like, that's amazing. Or like you hear about like a character like choking on food, and then the Grim Reaper shows up, and that's dead. And like this character that you spent all this time with, just because of in real life you can die in just crazy ways. Like this is just them dying. The console, they took out all that randomness because they didn't want you having a saved game that essentially just wipes and is just like, no, that character is dead now.
Yeah, because console gamers don't really understand that
anyways. And plus, like, I guess the connectivity just, and then I'll wrap up my Sims talk. It's just like, because in the PC, it's just like, the whole community is connected where it's just like, you can play as any household, right? But when you're not playing as a household, that other household still exists. The Xbox version, at least, you play as that household, but any other households you've created don't exist in that world. Like each one's its own separate world.
Oh,
so even if you had a family and you moved them to a different house because that's your save game states or your houses, and then you picked like that vacant house to start a new family in, you couldn't go visit your other family being controlled by the computer. They just don't exist in that.
Yeah,
like,
it's all
time
just
space.
separate little neighborhoods.
So the one thing was just like when Caitlin's character dies by a meteorite, she can just be like, well, this family that I had children, so I'll just jump into their children now who live in a completely different house, and then now, like, she can play again, and it's still...
the same game.
Same game.
Yeah.
So it's just, I guess it's, all of I like the idea of a laptop, but I realize the laptop serves only purpose. I still just use it in one room anyway.
Yeah.
So why not just kind of get a powered up tower and just slide it next to my TV, and then it just be, just get a wireless mouse and keyboard, and then just project it onto the TV.
The only problem is that you can't like sit there with your laptop and watch TV at the same time.
No.
And everybody can see what you're doing on your computer.
Yeah, well, obviously I'm not going to fire it up on the big screen and then just start surfing porn and then be like, oh,
you
Caitlin,
probably
don't
will.
look. I probably will. Who am I kidding?
Yeah, that's why you got it.
But like, plus, and I guess the other thing is like, I want to get, because we don't have cable. We have like small channels. It's basketball season. I'm a big Chicago Bulls fan.
Did you watch the game last night?
I did.
What did you think?
I watched them trounce the Knicks.
Yeah, that was fun.
It started off slow and scary, but at the same time,
most games.
Yeah, But then once they got rolling, and I mean, Gibson looked
Took
like
over.
Yeah, like he looked like he's just like, hey, guess what, guys? I'm getting 6-man this year.
Yeah.
And I know it's one game, and I'm leaping to huge conclusions. But if he plays even half that good on a game-to-game basis, gets us 10 points and 5 rebounds coming off the bench.
Well, the bench was great.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, and that's without Butler. So you think the bench gets even stronger because Butler moves into the starting lineup and Dunleavy or Kirk, pending, moves to the bench. And then you're just adding...
You basically have 2 starting teams.
Yeah.
So.
But so I was thinking of getting like League Pass, which is super overpriced. But at the same time, it's either that or spend, an extra $900 a month on cable to get TNT or whatever it is. So then I get League Pass, and then if the computer's hooked up to the TV, I can load it up on the computer and it'll still be on the big screen. So
yeah,
there's a lot of thought I put into it. However, what I did not think about is how much money
it will cost me. Of money.
Because like the one I was building, because I wanted to kind of I don't want a huge tower. I was trying to look at a smaller tower.
Yeah.
Obviously, so I can maybe cram it in a shelf if I could.
And like, it costs more.
I think I was building it's like a whole custom thing, and I was at like 1,600 before. I was just like, I haven't even done anything.
Right, when you start adding pieces, like, oh, I want this graphics card, or I want this memory set, and all that, and then it really just adds up fast.
Well, the thing too is because like I also don't want to have to upgrade it.
Yeah, if you're gonna be actually playing games on it, you're gonna have to upgrade it. Like every game you get, you're gonna have to buy new hardware.
If I can stack it to the max now. Like, when I get it, and I don't have to do any of the unscrewing everything and putting hardware... I understand to people who are PC gamers, like, this is second nature, and they just understand it. Like, I'm still relatively PC, like, besides, like, knowing how to use the computer, but not build the computer. So I don't want to immediately have to start just upgrading things. So I'm like, I'll pay a lot of money now, and I will try and stack it so I don't have to upgrade for maybe 3 years or something like that. And then I can be like, oh, okay, I just need to put a new graphics card in, or I need to get new memory or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But like if I can get it where it's just like, oh, look, I can already play, Shadows of Mordor, and I can play it on like ultra setting, then I think I'm good for a while.
Yeah.
Like there's not going to be a game that's just like, oh, ultra setting for Shadows of Mordor, that's our basic.
Well, that's kind of what happens sometimes.
That's what happens sometimes. In those games, I'll just be like, well, fuck you then. All right, Crysis 3, like, I'm not going to be able to play that.
Right, and you just buy it on your Xbox or whatever.
Yeah.
If you want to play it.
So that's
pajamas.
That's my cat's pajamas.
But we're not actually ending yet, I guess. Did you hear that Dying Light was canceled on current gen? I don't know what we're calling it now since we're in year 2 of next gen. But
I did not.
It got canceled for the 360 and the PS3. They said that they couldn't do it. They were pulling back features and it just wasn't working. They thought it wasn't up to snuff. It wasn't the same game.
Yeah.
They didn't want to completely just gut it and throw the same title on a different game because they said a lot of the gameplay has to do with the way from the day to night cycle, and at nighttime, everything's different and the zombies rage out. And there's like all this other things that happen, and they said they couldn't do that properly, so they decided to just cancel those 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're probably going to start seeing that a lot more. is that games are initially where they're just like, oh yeah, we'll be able to do both.
Yeah.
And I think you'll kind of now we'll start to see some heavy decline in the games being released for both consoles.
Right, and like I said, because we're in year 2, you got to think that even though there's a larger install base, if they're building them for the new machines,
it's harder to go back.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked again like off camera or maybe it was on camera, I don't remember.
Yeah, there's always a camera on us.
But just like NBA 2K15 of just like the Xbox, they built that game for Xbox One, and then they're just like, oh, we'll also release it to the old systems, but they couldn't do anything that they wanted to do, so they're just like, let's give them 2K14 and let's add like one new Derrick Rose animation and we'll call it a day.
Yeah.
Disappointing if you're somebody who's like holding out, and that kind of makes you like. I think it was funny because when I was looking at the reviews of the 360 version, everyone's obviously just like, this fucking sucks. Like, you don't have to give us the story mode and all and the Kinect scan, but just like
give us a game.
Give us the same game type. Like, don't make the AI completely different. And everyone was just like, this shows me that 2K is money. Like, everyone overreacts, like they're going to do.
Yeah.
But then they're just like, I'm going to go with live if I get a new system. And I immediately want to just be like, no, why are you doing it? Live is even worse.
Yep.
Like, it's EA, which is your first problem. And second, like, they released an announcement that they know that their game is essentially second best.
Yeah.
So if you pre-order it, they'll give you, like, downloadable content for free.
Yep.
Just like, we know that our game's going to kind of suck. But if you jump on this band now, we'll reward you with some mods and some head skins for
And
characters.
that's the stupid thing, too, that people are, it's like either or. Like, oh, I don't like Xbox, so now I'm going to buy a PlayStation. It's like, well, just don't buy anything. If you don't like what they're coming out with, just stick with what you have and enjoy that. It doesn't have to be one or the other.
Yeah, well, it's the overreaction to everything. And I know I'm just as guilty about it in some, regards.
Well, sometimes it makes sense, but
like 2K15, I guess my thing is like the 2K series has long been the standard of basketball games.
Right.
Like, even before EA canceled Live and it was still a competitor, they're just like, we can't compete. They dropped out for 2-3 years, I can't even remember.
Yeah.
And they're coming back and they still can't compete. 2K has just been blowing them out of the water. It's just like,
which is how football was until they stole the license away from them.
But then to go like, oh, because you jip me on an inferior version, I'm now going to go with your competitor who makes a worse game.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's stupid, too, because that's the thing. I mean, it sucks that the newer version is not as good, but if you have 2K14, you should almost be happy, because now you're like, I don't need to buy the new game. I can just keep playing this. I know you want new stuff, but at the same time, it's kind of annoying that you're required to buy a new game every single year.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's just sports games in general that people get.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, you can't, every year, you don't need to buy a new game. Unless you're like a die-hard, like Madden competitor where you take part in the tournaments, or you're like a football player who's in the game this year.
Yeah.
Like, if
they probably just give it to you for free.
Yeah. If you have the game the previous year, there's not going to be a huge leaps and bounds difference. There's not going to be like 2K12 to 2K13. Like, congratulations, you have a little bit updated calendar.
Right.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Like,
here's my $60.
My rule was like a 3-year time span. Like, I'd get a sports game, and then in 3 years I'd get the next one, because at that point,
things have changed enough.
3-year incremental increase means that, like, okay, the graphics are better. Now it's whatever current. They've made some tweaks and changes, and now it's noticeably different than the last version I had. But to go like a year to year, be like, I bought 2K14 and now I bought 2K15 and I'm sad. Like, what the fuck did you expect?
Right.
You bought 13 and 14, you weren't upset then? Because it's the same game.
Yeah, I mean, we've had this conversation before. It seems like there's no winning, though, with the sports games. Like, they're not going to make them better. They're just not, because people keep buying them and they come out every year. Yep. So they change one thing. Like, oh, this now has better fans now in the stadium. It's like, well, that's not a reason to buy the game.
Yeah. Wow, they have faces now.
Yeah.
Awesome.
There's 14 different unique fans instead of just 12 like last year.
We've added a new away jersey for this team. It's
only $250.
It's a special Halloween away jersey.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Got it. Thank you.
I will say, though, just throw this back into Destiny Corner, but they released, with this patch, they gave everybody a new consumable, which is, it's basically, you get more money when you kill the hive, but you get like a flaming 3-eyed jack-o'-lantern on your character when you're using it, which is kind of cool for Halloween.
Halloween special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess another thing too. So we didn't hit our goal, our fundraising goal for the Extra Life charity, but we still have more time to raise some money. So if you guys, thank you for everybody that did donate. If you guys haven't donated yet, you can still go to our Extra Life fundraising page. The links are on the website. It's also, if you just go to Extra Life, search Christopher Davis. Just, I don't know, get the word out there if you can. We really appreciate anybody retweeting things or liking us on Facebook, just sharing the link. We're trying to raise money for a good cause.
Yeah.
And anything we can do. We already did our marathon, but let's say, I don't know. I'd be willing to say that we would do something else for our fans if we did end up hitting our goal.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be willing to even do another marathon.
I would do that too. I didn't want to say that in case you were not on board, but I would do another marathon.
I would say that if we can raise, we're at 500. 500 was the goal.
500 is the goal. We're at about 135.
I would say if we can hit $300 dollars, I would be 300 total. So that's including the 100.
Yeah.
So essentially, raise another 250, whatever it comes out to be.
Uh-huh.
I'd be willing to do another marathon in another week.
How about if we get to 300, we'll do a 12-hour marathon. If we get to the full 500, we'll do a 24.
Okay.
Is that fair, or should we just do another 24?
No, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Yeah. We hit 300, do a 12-hour, and then we'll stream it like we did.
Yeah. And if you donate, you guys, you are able to request games for us to play, for sure.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Make it 360, PlayStation 3, Xbox One.
Yeah.
Ideally.
Yeah, let's try to keep it the Xbox One if possible, but you are allowed to request anything that you want.
Yeah. I mean, because we can jury rig a shitty stream of 360 or PlayStation 3.
Right. It's not going to have probably the webcam features that the other ones would, but
no, but we'll figure something out.
Yeah.
First let's worry about hitting the goal.
One step at a time, right?
Yeah. We hit the goal, then we'll work on semantics. And people might not even request 360 games.
Right.
But if you do, Perfect Dark Zero, I need to beat it.
Yeah.
And the only way I can do that is by having Chris be forced to play it.
Yeah. I'd be willing to play that game. I know we did it for the marathon last time.
Yeah.
How many? We didn't get that many achievements. Obviously, I was playing mainly on my one account that had stuff, but I'm surprised we only got one achievement for basketball, considering we played that the longest.
I looked at the list. I don't know if you looked at the achievement list. And they're, again, the difference between 360 and one, because I looked at the 360 list even before the marathon. And I'm like, oh, we're going to tear this up. Because it's just like, get 5 blocks and 5 rebounds, or like get 20 points, or something like that.
Telling me Edwin didn't do that.
But that's what I'm saying. That's the 360 version.
Oh, okay.
The Xbox One version, because they're all about the new features, are just like,
scan your face.
well, it's like there's like the My GM mode, and there's so many achievements tied to that, which we didn't even start. Then there's like the My Player mode, which we didn't start, and blah blah blah. Yeah, so like the only ones that we even could have gotten would have been like
the single game stuff, which is
which there's only like 5, and just like get like a triple double, which we never did, or like get 5 stats in each category. So like get 5 steals, 5 blocks, 5 rebounds, 5 points, and 5 assists with one player. Like all those like crazy ones where you really have to focus on just one player.
If we were going after them, we could have gotten it, but we were just having fun. Yeah. The only achievement we got for that game was get a 3-pointer on a fast break. Yeah.
Which all we shot was 3-pointers.
Yeah. Well, that one guy especially.
Yeah.
But yeah, only 20 achievements total, and the most were for Alien Isolation.
Yeah.
So.
Well, beat Alien Isolation had one for beating each level.
Yeah.
And then it obviously has miscellaneous ones. Yeah. Getting past a droid, whatever it is, without taking damage.
Yeah.
And I imagine like sneaking past an alien or whatever.
And then Chariot, we got a couple achievements for that. So
I liked Chariot.
I did too. I liked playing it. Like I felt like it was, like I said, a good team building exercise.
Yeah.
Like we were working well together and we were figuring out stuff, and it was
Chariot. I think it was just. Again, I think we were too conscious of the stream with Chariot because we were really dead set on trying to figure out those puzzles, and then realized like 20 minutes of us just swinging a thing back and forth.
Then we just stopped playing.
Is bad viewing where it's just like, wow, they really suck at trying to line this up.
And it's interesting that a couple people commented, too, on how it was hard to figure out the mechanics of the game just watching it.
Yeah.
Because playing it, it was pretty apparent what was happening, but...
Well, yeah, I can understand that because really it's just like... And for us, it's like one button to throw your rope and then it's just all momentum.
Yeah.
But, yeah, there's the whole, like, you can pull the rope up, you can pull the rope down, but you can't really swing yourself, on it. Yeah. So, I can understand the confusion. I mean, I imagine you put a controller in anybody's hand and they'll just be like, oh, I can just pull it.
Yep.
So
another comment we got during the live stream, too, which is very fair, which I think we already knew about, which is about spoilers in the podcast.
Yeah.
So from now on, if there is any spoilers in the podcast, we will do an official break where we tell you exactly how far ahead to skip in the episode if you would like to skip the spoiler.
Yeah.
So it's something we should have done before. We kind of knew we should have done it before. But I think I mentioned it on the podcast before that the first episode you said skip ahead 5 minutes and we talked for exactly 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So I thought that was okay because I figured not a lot of people were listening to it
in
at
the
that
first
point.
place. Yeah.
Plus, it's like a 2-year-old spoiler, but we still should.
No, I guess my general rule of thumb is I'm just going to try and avoid spoilers as much as I can.
Yeah.
Unless we obviously have like a very specific, like we're talking about said game. Like we both completed Alien Isolation and we both want to talk about the game and the ending. Then it's one thing that's just like, yeah, you can't avoid it. But if I'm just going to talk about like, hey, I beat, Grand Theft Auto, I'm not going to be like, and that last mission where Johnny falls out of the airplane and hits the rotary blades, and then it's completely different. But yeah, I don't think we'll use spoilers that much.
No.
Because me being on a 20-year delay and you being on recent games, you don't get to talk about anything for a long time.
It's frustrating.
And then by the time I finish a game, you've already forgotten that game existed, and I can't talk about it.
Speaking of which, so I did notice that you rated Saints Row 2 a 3 out of 5.
Accidental. Okay. I don't have a computer, I just have my phone, so it's all touchscreen.
Okay, because I was like, I thought you liked it more than that.
Yeah. And then I don't know how to unrate it.
You can only then change the rating, so if you give it a different rating, it'll adjust it.
Because I was trying to just click on things with my phone, and the page didn't load all the way, and then it jumped up, and then I clicked the star, and then all of a sudden it's in my feed, and I'm like, God, come on.
It's not going to change it in the feed, which is frustrating, but it will change your overall rating.
I mean, my goal was just not to rate any games, and then that happened.
Yeah.
It's just like, I like TA, but people aren't following me for game reasons.
Not to see, did he like this game? Did he not like this game?
Yeah.
The TA app did come out now in the US for the Xbox One.
I saw some people get achievements in it.
Yeah, it's very meta, the fact that you can get achievements for that. I mean, obviously they're not worth points. They're actually challenges. But the one thing, I don't know how well they implemented it, but the one thing that would make it really good and useful is like for the gaming sessions. Like right now you can click on it and see your gaming sessions and then see the solutions for that or who's in it. Because that's always the hardest thing is sending messages out to people if you're hosting the gaming session.
Yeah, you gotta have like a laptop in front of you, you gotta type it in.
Now you can just go to their name and send the messages, which is way easier. But I would like a sort of notification within the console to be like, hey, you got a session coming up, like a little bleep bloop saying you got a session coming up in an hour or in 30 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, maybe you can just set a reminder time.
Yeah.
Within the app would be nice. Or just be like, remind me 15 minutes before a session starts.
Yep.
On the console. Because you do get an email like a physical email an hour before. But yeah, I think that'd just be beneficial in terms of, if you're somebody who usually sets up a lot of sessions.
Right. It is integrated, though, into the rest of the Xbox stuff. Like, if you just go to your achievements now, one of the options is search TA Solutions. So that's nice. You can just click on that, it goes right to it. And it's kind of fun to watch. You can watch, if they post videos and stuff, like collectible guides.
You can watch the video.
Snap. Yeah, you can snap it so you can watch the video and then go find it and pause it. So instead of having to use your computer or tablet or something and going back and forth.
A whole new world of achievement hunting.
Yep.
Opens up.
The only worst thing would be if they started adding that into more of the Xbox, like all your TA stuff, like all your statistics and things like that. The more that I see that, the more I get obsessed with it. So
yeah, they can cut it out.
Yeah.
The one good thing is that app will have no bearing for me. A, because I don't have an Xbox One, but B, because even if it worked for I'd always be playing a game that's not like something that I can snap to.
Yeah.
It'd be like, oh, let me snap it to my Xbox so I can watch how I get an achievement in Peggle 1.
Yeah.
Which is only 360, and then let me unplug it.
Yeah. You could plug in your 360 through the
back of it.
And then All right. Well, I guess that was an episode of the podcast.
Good sign off too.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I guess we'll do the normal spiel. We could just record this info once and just throw it on every episode, but we don't.
No.
So follow us on Twitter at NotFunPodcast. The Twitter challenge still stands, where if we get 200 followers, Phil's going to buy a new console. So let's force him to do that.
Yeah. Because I think it'll be real nice if I drop about $2,000 on a computer to then turn around and drop whatever 500 on a new console.
Right.
I think that'd be fantastic. And following a wedding that I just paid for. Let's see if we can make it happen.
The good thing is that hopefully if you do get a new console, you won't just buy HD remakes of old games because you like playing old games, but you'll buy newer games so we have something to talk about.
HD remakes only.
Yeah.
I'll only be... And HD remakes of games that came out years and years and years ago.
You would prefer them to do a standard definition remake.
If they could.
Yeah.
If we can get in some like Super Nintendo games that just look exactly like Super Nintendo games.
Is there a current gen game that you would want a like 16-bit version of, or?
And I can't say all of them, right?
Yeah.
I'd like a.
What do you think would translate well to a
top-down Alien Isolation?
Is that a joke?
No.
Okay. I think that could work.
Yeah.
The certainly the hiding and the crouching would be less suspenseful, but I think it could work.
Yeah, I mean, I just imagine like there probably wouldn't even be a crouch button, but there'd just be
able to tell.
There'd just be things that you can essentially like get behind, and then just be line of sight style.
Yeah.
And then so you have to like move around things as essentially like you would just lure everything to like walk in a circle, and then you'd have to walk in a circle a little bit faster.
I think instead of having like the full map, there would have to be like a little circle, a little spotlight around your character, and the rest of the map would sort of be black. That way, you couldn't see where things were. Still, you could still be surprised by things, or
Yeah. I think that could. We're spending time talking about it.
Yeah.
I think you definitely do a fog of war kind of situation where you can't see everything.
Yeah.
But I think it would depend on the lighting of the room. When shit's really hit the fan and like the aliens around, then you make it almost pitch black.
Yeah.
So then it's more suspenseful. But like in the beginning, the early onset of the game, when you're really just working with humans, I think it'd be fine if you see a human, at the edge of the map.
Yeah.
Because you still have to figure out a way to get past him because you're still, you can't charge him. You don't have a gun or whatever it is.
Let's make this game.
It's probably already exists.
Yeah. Well, it does now. All of our listeners will band together to create a sourced, funded Alien Isolation top-down game. What are we called? What's the name?
Alien Top, Me Bottom.
Yep. Pending.
Is there any other game that would work? It's not a downloadable game because obviously, like Chariot could work.
Yeah, but no, like a game that already doesn't have that art style or that feel to it.
I think that's the best.
I think that's the best one. We're not going to beat that.
Yeah.
So let's just move on. All right.
Move on to the end.
Yeah.
All right. So Chris gave you Twitter. We also have a website. This isn't fun anymore. Podcast.com. We have a Facebook page where you can like us. If you actually gave a shit about the Twitter competition, the likes count as new followers because it's something you can only do once. So technically, you could follow us on Twitter and then like us, and you might get counted twice because I don't know. At least not for me, I can't see who liked the page.
Oh, really?
On Facebook, because I don't think I'm like the owner or whatever it is.
Really? You can't see who liked it, though?
There's
not a little box in the corner that has a bunch of people?
At least on my phone.
Okay.
Maybe it's a computer thing.
Computador?
Yeah, it just says like 9 likes, I think, when I went there one time.
So far, there has not been any overlap. So Pete Chan, one of our buddies that donated to the charity, so thanks, Pete Chan. We forgot to mention you earlier.
Yep.
But he has liked the Facebook page, but he does not currently follow us on Twitter.
Nice.
So
it counts, yeah. Okay, so that's everything. It's our website and our Twitter and our Facebook and our Gmail and our Twitch.
So we didn't do Twitch, but you guys should know it by now. We got 5 followers on Twitch now, so we should probably actually do some live streams.
Yeah, I was actually thinking, and I know this episode's getting long. I don't care. I know you wanted to work in the YouTube at some point, and this is maybe a relic.
I threw some things up there already.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I haven't liked that.
No, it's okay. Nobody has. 0 views.
Oh, thank God. So I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
I was thinking of maybe weekly segments, maybe bi-weekly, maybe tri-weekly.
Buy my Fice icon?
Yeah. Of just doing what we maybe call like 2-hour reviews. We take a game, we play it 2 hours, and then immediately put a review up.
Yeah.
And obviously it can just be all manner of games. And we just, 2-hour review of Nutjutsu, 2-hour review of Chariot, 2-hour review of Perfect Dark Zero.
Steph trying to get us to play that again.
And maybe it's too much like 40 quarters, but just maybe it's just another outlet.
Well, I mean,
to talk about video games.
We could stream our weekly gaming sessions. That's also an option. We could
Saints Row?
Yeah, we could like Saints Row, whatever game if we happen to be playing. So we could just stream those as we play it.
Yeah, we would just have to set a official time frame.
Yeah,
because since we're terrible at tweeting,
yeah,
we couldn't like tweet like 10 minutes before and expect people to follow us. But if we're
not
just
at
like
this point, no.
if we're like every Tuesday at 7 Central Time,
yeah,
we're gonna have a Twitch stream up of us playing a game for at least an hour.
Yeah,
that'd work. But you would have to essentially do all the talking because you'd have.
Or you would, if we're gonna do the 360 and we use your card.
Yes. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, if because you can't Twitch 360 games, even if you plug it into the back of the Xbox,
correct.
Right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I would have to do all the talking.
Yeah. Is there any way to set up the microphone as the headset as the microphone? I know you can for the one, but I guess you can't for that. Yeah. 360.
Also, now that I'm thinking about this, maybe this is a terrible idea.
Or I don't know how it works, but you could change your settings in the Xbox to have the voice chat come through both the speakers and your headset.
Yeah,
that way my voice would come through. Yeah,
I'm just thinking now of doing the card to know.
Is this a discussion we should have off the air? Maybe.
I mean, we can have it. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Having the card to know computer.
Yeah.
To also having a webcam set up to face me.
We wouldn't. If we did the weekly Twitches, we wouldn't. I don't think we would need a webcam on us.
Okay.
We would just do the game,
and then just our vocals.
Yeah.
Our vocals. Yeah. I mean, we'll work it because if I get that computer, then it won't be a big deal. I'll have a fast computer Dora with all the programs in porn.
Yeah, it's just the upload speed that's an issue, but I don't think
I'll upgrade my upgrade speed.
If you can, yeah.
Physically, I can't.
Okay.
But I can. Maybe I'll
steal the internets from other people.
Yeah, I'll go around to all my neighbors and I'll say, don't use the internet from this time to this time.
Yeah, just call up everybody in that complex.
Yeah, I think they'll be fine with it. Okay, for real, we're ending it.
Yeah. Forever. This is the last episode.
Forever.
We didn't make it to 15.
Yep, couldn't do it. All right, guys. I wish all of you a happy Phil's wedding day.
Yep, which would already have happened at this point.
Also known as Halloween, so hopefully you had a good Halloween.
Yeah.
And I may or may not be in the next episode. I probably will be.
You will be.
Okay.
It depends. Are you thinking like you're gonna run away?
Well, like I mean, who knows what could happen in Milwaukee?
Okay, that's true.
But I hope with my death that you still continue the podcast.
Yeah. I would at least do one episode without you.
Good.
Yeah. And
I'd make it two.
I would use clips of stuff from other episodes that we cut out and just piece it together. Be like, Phil, why are you reacting that way? Why are you saying that? And just make you sound crazy.
It's fine. I'd be dead. I'm not going to have any complaints.
Yeah.
But yeah. Insert sign off here.
That works too.
Cat's pajamas. Do things to us. You can't play soccer in space. And they can't all be winners.
They can't all be winners. That's a new one, guys. They can't all be winners.
Yep.